Welcome to the Magic of Positive Thinking, a podcast hosted by Norb Svanascini, founder of AmericanEagle.com, and writer Al Edwards. Norb, I was going to say you look like $1 million, but with inflation, you look like $3 million.
Well, thank you. You look like about 10 million. Actually.
Oh, well, thank you. In small bills, hopefully.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank God for this gift he gives us every day. That's why they call it the present. And it is a beautiful, beautiful time of the year. Spring is here, especially the northern hemisphere. Anybody who listens to the southern hemisphere, I'm sorry for you because you're entering winter.
Winter, yeah.
But no, this is beautiful. It's just unbelievable that after, everything is what we say dead, which it really isn't. They're actually hibernating.
Right.
There's this incredible push of nature that everything is green, and it's just beautiful.
And as everyone knows, we do our podcast from Chicago, and we've just had such beautiful weather. I just can't say enough about it. You just feel more alive than you do on a gray day in January when it's 10 below zero or something like that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, well, friends, one of the things on our show, I think we really have a special show for you today, because one of the things that some people have said that they really enjoy our show. And I think one of the things that makes us different is that we really speak from our hearts, and people really pick up on that. And I wanted to talk about something, Norb, that I've thought of lately. It happened to be on a very nice day. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting a little older or hopefully a little wiser, but I'm walking through the parking lot on my way to work one day, and it hit me almost like a spiritual epiphany. I am just a short-time visitor on this beautiful planet. And in light of the history of the world, 1 billion years old or 3 billion or whatever it is, the human life is just a drop, not even a drop in the ocean. And the question is, while we're here, what are we going to do with our lives? What is the purpose? And that's what we want to talk about. Mark Twain had an amazing quote. He said, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful quote. I think that we've said that quote before, and it's sad that, most people don't appreciate this, which is incredible. I have a very good friend that has a lot of beehives, and his wife has a little business getting the honey out of these beehives. And he was telling me the other day that, and I heard about this before, but I didn't know the exact time. And he said that bees only live 24 days. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
I even made a statement, gee, and the old ones live 26 days, But they have a purpose in their life, and their purpose is to make honey. And they make actually this incredible product that, it's probably one of the most perfect things on earth. It doesn't spoil. And we've talked about this before.
Right.
But the bee knows its purpose. And, one of the differences between animals, we've talked about this before, they're programmed to do what they do. We're the only animal that can make a choice.
Right.
And we have to find out what we'd like to do. And you're only limited by your own limitations, because we're put here on earth for this incredibly short time. And we actually, should find the reason for our lives.
Right. Absolutely. And, we could easily say that, well, we're all here because our parents wanted to have a child, and we're just a product of biology and chemistry. But I don't think that's true. I think every person, there's a reason that they are here. And not all of us can be world-changing people that our names are on the tip of everyone's tongue for eternity. The most famous people in the world, the most influential people in the world, are largely forgotten about. We talk about Thomas Edison all the time. We use his product every day, but other than you and I, no one talks about Thomas Edison too much.
Right. Well, yeah. And, when you see the going back to the bee story, there's a queen bee who's special. And there are some special people that, but through their effort, they're usually are that because what they became, it's not like royalty that they've never really done anything about it. It's just
They were lucky.
Luck just, they're born into the family, so all of a sudden they're a king or a queen.
Genetic lottery.
Yeah, but I think it's really that's the thing, is that we are given this gift of being able to actually put, going back to the greatest secret, which we always do, the strangest secret. Our brain is like a piece of soil, and whatever you plant in it, it will give you back. And if we just understand that, that's so beautiful that it's incredible. So, we have to remember this stuff.
We sure do. I was looking on the internet about some of these, different angles of these topics. And I saw something in the Atlantic magazine. It said, want to live in a directed, resolute way, to always know why you're doing what you're doing. There's a simple way to make your dreams come true. Go find the meaning of life. People who believe that their lives meaning enjoy greater well-being than those who don't. Let me say that again, because I don't think I read it right. People who believe that they know their life's meaning, people who know what the purpose of their life is, live better than those who don't. One 2019 study found that agreeing with the statement, I have a philosophy of life that helps me understand who I am, was associated with fewer symptoms of depression and a higher positive outlook.
Yeah, and that's so basic. The other thing that's so impressive to me about, having the right outlook of life and to find your purpose, this happiness that you have by trying to achieve this is the goal. And the one thing that is the most impressive thing about this, and it's proven by multiple people, Harvard studies and all kinds of studies, people that have positive thoughts and have a goal and stuff, they live at least 4 years more than the average person.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do it? It's just crazy, not to be positive. And listen, the hardest thing today, is to overcome the negativity that we're bombarded to. This is a Monday, okay? Now, starting last Wednesday or Thursday, every news media was warning us about these sunspots that were going to disrupt the internet and radio signals. And you put the media, the TV on or the radio, and they would talk about this, your Wi-Fi might be, blah, 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 blah. That sun is a big ball of fire that's been around for billions of years. They've always had this stuff. And you know what? So what? If these things happen, it happens for, let's say it happens for a day, 2 days, 3 days. Do you think for 1 minute that is going to affect your life? Let me tell you something. It's a friend of mine who has a friend. And yesterday, that friend of my friend's had a son that was hit by a driver that was doing 90 miles an hour, and his son was killed. Now, can you imagine anything worse than that? That's a problem, having a sunspot bothering me,
right?
That is so stupid that, it's ridiculous to cloud your mind with those kind of thoughts. So what if it happens? Big deal.
Right.
That sun is not going to bother me at all. And if I don't have Wi-Fi for 10 hours, listen, I didn't have Wi-Fi for most of my life. So it's not going to kill me. So the craziest thing about it, nothing happened.
Right.
Nothing. Sun keeps rolling and the earth keeps rolling, fellas. And just worrying about it ain't going to matter. So be happy.
And it's not going to change it.
It's not going to change it. You know?
And that ties in perfectly with what we're talking about, because I heard an expression one time. Someone said, everyone is majoring in minor things. We're not thinking about the important things. We're thinking about what the latest gossip is, or the latest political problem, or this or that. And we're focusing on the urgent and not the important. And I think that goes right back down to, what are we doing here? What are we doing with this time that's been allowed to given to us as a gift every day?
Yeah, and if you're in awe of this, which I happen to be, and I'm very proud of it, and I'll say it. I'm in awe of spring. The amount of greenery and energy. Last time we did this, Al talked about weeds and the dandelions, and I've gotten to the point where I actually enjoy seeing these things, because it makes me look at them with appreciation about that energy that weed has.
Oh, so you're looking at dandelions differently now since our...
Yeah, I actually do, which is crazy, because I was in a big yard the other day, and I saw a couple of dandelions, and I said, God, this is something. These things are, they're popping up, and they have a purpose. That's their purpose.
Right.
And here we are with the greatest gift in the animal kingdom, which is a brain where you can make a choice.
Right.
And we're not using it. We're not happy about it. My God, I'm happy about it. And there's birds flying, and these birds are beautiful things. And it's just so incredible, this gift that we have, that you have to make a choice, and the choice has to be, if you want to lead a good life and a long life, to be positive. It's that easy. And of course, there's negativity. There is. And we worry about little stuff. But we have to also remember there's little stuff. So it's okay. It'll be, the sunspot will be there. And you know what? We'll have another sunspot. I saw a movie the other day, which was a real good movie, old movie. Probably 20 years old, maybe 80s, 90s. And it's called The Freshman. And actually, it was a Marlon Brando. He plays actually a character that spoofs The Godfather. And it's a really funny movie.
Which was him in the original movie.
It's him, yeah. And what's interesting is that, there's a part where he's driving with a couple of young people, and he says, the thing I worry about is the ozone layer. And, back then, for people that aren't that old, ozone was in the media all the time, about the ozone layer and this, and it was shrinking, and it was, the hole in the ozone layer was getting bigger. And it was so ridiculous that, now when you see it, you say, oh my God, people are actually worried about that. But we're worried about other stupidities.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing I can say, the world will keep going no matter what anybody does. Humans are an ant. We cannot alter this. Appreciate it. Yes, there will be problems, and thank God for problems, because God gave us the capability to overcome them with our mind. And I think that's the purpose of life, to find that we have this ability.
To focus on what's important. As an addition to our, if you haven't had a chance, friends, to listen to our last podcast, we did it about the powerful lessons of the dandelion, and that's what we're talking about here. I was mowing my lawn just yesterday, and there was a couple dandelions, and what occurred to me? I forgot. The dandelions are gone in about 3 weeks. No matter what you do to them, they just disappear.
Right.
And I thought to myself, what a great analogy again to life, I run them over anyway. I don't care. And they pop up. They're amazing. They pop up overnight. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. I'd love to put a camera on them, a slow motion camera, to see them come up. But there's this magic day about mid-spring where they just disappear anyway, and for the rest of the year. So why are we so worried about this kind of stuff?
Well, they produce those little
wish
feather-like
things. That you blow.
The seeds go all over and they reproduce themselves, and that's their purpose. They've been programmed. We are not programmed. And maybe there's some people in the world that want to be programmed. They don't want to think, and it goes back again to the strangest secret when he talks about, who was that? People don't think.
You're thinking of Albert Schweitzer.
Yeah, right. Albert Schweitzer. He was given the Nobel Prize, and he got up in front of the Nobel people there that all met in Sweden. And he says, Dr. Schweitzer, what is the world's biggest problem? And he says, people don't think.
Right.
And unluckily, people don't think. And I think it's a little bit is part of being lazy. We always think that we should have a queen bee in our life that decides for us what we do. But, the other side of this story, if you want to look at us as being unlucky, we don't have a queen bee. Your queen bee is your brain. And you have to get that activated, like if you are a queen bee, and say, by God, I'm going to run this hive. Because the hive is you. You are the hive. You're that body that has to make that decision. So it's a blessing. It's unbelievable. We have that power within ourselves to do this.
I love that. And, with regard to purpose, another great quote from The Strangest Secret that our whole show is based on is that a person without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder or a captain at the helm. You start the engines and let it go, and whether it gets out of the harbor at all, it might crash or sink.
And no, it isn't that it might crash or sink. I mean, it will. I mean,
eventually
the odds of that making it out of that port is, just millions of odds to one.
Right.
And some guy might make it or some boat, but usually, it's a failure.
And I think with regard to seeing the big picture in life, I've always said, because I think we're here for such a short time, we get so caught up in the minutia. I think when someone dies, for example, I've often said this, people get the big picture for a little bit. They understand, I got to spend more time with my family, or I don't need to worry about this. I need to love people more. I need to focus more. And then a week later, they're in line, or 2 days later, they're in line at the drive-thru at Wendy's, and there's a holdup. Oh, I can't believe that. What the hell's going on here now? And we forget about the big picture. And now we're all angry because our hamburger is going to be late because some person ordered 50 hamburgers ahead of us.
Right. And I'm usually upset when somebody does that. But by the same token, I do adopt the idea that, this is just one of those other things. And we talked about this before. But, now that we've discussed this thing, I just want to recall something. I don't know how many people here remember a coach that was very famous in the United States. Actually, he was the coach of a basketball team at North Carolina State by the name of Jim Valvano. And if you've never heard of this guy, do a YouTube about Jim Valvano's last speech. It's a masterpiece. This is a relatively young guy. I don't think he was 50 years old when this happened, but he developed cancer. And he gave a speech that I hope you watch it and have a couple of Kleenex ready when you watch it, because it's just a beautiful speech about what life is about, okay? But he said something. He had a quote on his desk that I really like, and I want to repeat it to you because I think it has a big meaning, and it goes back to what Al was talking about. What's the meaning of life? What's your goal? This is what he said. He said, to me, there are 3 things we all should do every day. We should do this every day of our lives. Number 1 is laugh. You should laugh every day. Number 2 is think. You should spend some time in thought. And number 3 is you should have your emotions moved to tears. It could be for happiness or joy. But think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to get something special.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah, and I think that, that kind of drives me also. There's a lot of things that Alan and I talk about, and we actually, even before the show started, we had some quotes here that we told each other that we liked about Mark Twain, who was one of them. And the interesting part about it is that, this is a guy that was dying. And again, I hate to keep repeating it, but watch that YouTube. Jim Valvano's last speech.
I'm going to watch it.
It's just a masterpiece. Because this is a guy that was dying of cancer, and he did die of cancer, but his attitude towards it was just so phenomenal that if you can apply that attitude when you don't have cancer.
I was just going to say that.
It's just fabulous. And it's just, we do this thing. It's been going on we're in our third year, actually.
Yeah.
And every time we do this show, I'm very proud to do it. There's a few people that watch us or listen to us, and there's not enough, because I would like for some people to actually hear this, because, listen, it's good stuff. We're not telling anybody that's not positive, and I think that that's probably one of the greatest things. I mean, see, we have to feed our brain. We're going to feed it with something. We are going to feed it. It's going to be with negative thoughts or with positive thoughts. And I guarantee you, there is no ifs or buts that if your positive thoughts overcome the negative, you're going to be very, very happy.
Right.
And don't think for 1 minute I'm ignoring the negative thoughts. No, they're there. They're there. But we have to know how to overcome them. Even if looking at a dandelion, and I hate to keep repeating the same thing, but, repetition is very important in life. Pick up that little piece of paper. Talking about repetition, I read one thing many years ago. I don't think we've ever said this on, but before a young child can say thank you or please, automatically the parent or somebody has to tell that kid 2,000 times to do it.
Wow.
That's a fact. Okay? That's scientific fact. So the same thing applies to your brain. We have to tell it, think positive. Unluckily, unless you want to carry with you, our podcast and listen to it every day, there's nobody to tell you that. So you have to train your mind to do this. Going back to the purpose of our life, that's my purpose. I love to be positive. I love it. I love life. I love spring. I love birds. I love dandelions, and I don't care about the sunspots.
Right.
I don't care about it. And I don't care about the climate changing, because it's going to change, brother. And we ain't big enough to, this little ball traveling through the universe, we're nothing. Just thank God for this gift. It's a gift, people.
Two dopes talking on microphones in Des Plaines, Illinois is not going to change the sunspots.
It ain't going to change that spots, and Al and I are very, very happy. We're always happy, and we've got problems. I mean, my God, yeah, but you know what? Problems are just part of life, and if you just think of it that way, we go to the bathroom every day, and when we get the urge to go to the bathroom, we go to the bathroom. We don't think about it, oh my God, I got to go to the bathroom. No, that's just part of life.
Right.
So think about problems the same way. It's
just part of life.
Yeah, it's part of life. That's all. Be happy about it.
Well, and that's something I guess we haven't talked about in a while, and I just want to reiterate it for anyone who might be new to us. You know, we've been listening to all these positive recordings and our shows based on The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale that we've talked about, but a lot of these so-called positive, motivational or positive people, they think everything's rah-rah all the time, and no matter what happens to you, you should be positive. And I think what makes our show different is that we do acknowledge that, yeah, life can be really tough and you do get depressed and you do get down. But if you can just get back on that optimistic road, you're going to be so much better off than wallowing in the rut. And I heard a great expression one time. Someone said a rut is nothing more than a grave with the two ends kicked out.
Yeah, and it's true. It's again, one of the interesting things about it is that we're just a carrier of these positive thoughts. These thoughts are not new, and we've talked about this before. Aristotle talked about it. Everybody talks about this. All the people that we respect and that we admire actually talk about this stuff.
Right.
Losers are losers because they chose to be losers. Nobody told them you're a loser. I mean, people with great handicaps have become very successful, and they've overcome their handicaps, and because they set up their minds to accept what they have, because we're all different. There is no perfection in the world. I always tell Al that the only two people that I know that are close to perfect is Al and I have a lot of doubts about Al sometimes. But, you have to actually, be realistic about life. We all have something that is not perfect. There is no perfection. I actually feel sad for people that are perfect, like nothing to work for. My God, I'm perfect. Don't shoot yourself,
You're right, exactly.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not because you have a purpose, a problem. A problem is great. You got to overcome that. That's what life is about. That's what your purpose in life should be. Overcome the problems in a positive manner and accept life for what it is. Be happy about it. This is your gift.
The Japanese say that problems are opportunities dressed in work clothes.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly. It's amazing that the Japanese success story, which is incredible, these are people that were bombed. I mean, they were bombed in such a way that, the average person has no concept of the destruction. I've been to Hiroshima and I've seen, the actual replay, and it's just one of the most incredibly horrible things you can imagine. And, they came back up, and amazingly enough, their whole revival was based on an idea that an American had, a guy by the name of Denning. And this guy that I think, I think he was from Oklahoma or something, actually wrote a book on how to run a business. And Denning, which is a person that in the U.S. is not that well known, is like a god in Japan because he developed the whole structure of rebuilding and modernizing Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you've been fortunate enough to travel to Japan, this is just a wonderful, wonderful country. And I can't think of anybody being that badly hurt as the Japanese after the war ended.
And they came back.
And that is a tribute to the Japanese people, but it's also a tribute to the human mind that you can do it.
The human spirit.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, friends, I ask myself, am I just going day by day and just responding to stimulation in the world, or do I have a specific purpose about my life? And Norb and I can't tell you what the purpose of your life is, but if you see what you're passionate about and what really is meaningful to you, it's a really good indication that might be a purpose for you. And our purposes change. I mean, Norb has 3 kids, are now grown and have their own children. But when Norb was 25, he was a young father. That was his purpose. And now he's got another purpose. So purposes change as you change in life. But what doesn't change is the expression, are you going to be a meaningful specific or a wandering generality?
Yeah. And I'd like to just quote part of this, Jim Valvano. If you laugh, if you think and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special.
And I think that sums up existing versus really living.
Exactly.
We really do have a gift, friends, that we're given, and the choices are as what we're going to do about it and how we're going to impact other people and help other people. And we sincerely hope that this little podcast we do helps people. We've been told it helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're proud of that.
It makes it worthwhile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Norb, as usual, you knocked it out of the park. Thank you.
Oh, so did you. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Well, friends, thank you. We will see you next time. Have a great day.
God bless. Bye-bye.